With the first pick in the 2024 WNBA
expansion draft, the State Valkyries
select.
Drum roll, please. That's your drum roll.
Welcome back, y'all. How's everybody doing out there in WBB land? We are back with another video, and today's video is a fun one. Today we'll be doing a full 2025 WNBA expansion mock draft for the newly minted Golden State Valkyries. In case you've been living under a rock, Golden State was awarded the WNBA's first expansion team in over a decade and a half, and today we're going to break it all down. From when and where the draft is taking place, to what the key rules are you need to know. And finally, we're going to give you our projection for the 2025 Golden State Valkyrie roster. It's going to be a fun one. As usual, grab a soda, grab a chair, let's get it popping. The expansion draft is set to take place on December 6th and will be airing on ESPN. The key rules that everyone should keep in mind for the expansion draft are as follows. 1. Each of the existing 12 franchises will be allowed to protect 6 of their players. This is obviously a necessity in that Golden State can't just come and take every team's best player. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, Golden State will be allowed to select 1 unprotected player from every team in the league. Now, one should realize they don't have to do this, but they most likely will do this. And thirdly, Golden State will be allowed to select 1 unrestricted free agent from the entire pool that is unprotected with the intention of giving them the core designation. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the core designation, it basically allows a franchise to retain the rights to any of their unrestricted free agents on a 1-year max deal. Now, the only caveat to the core designation is that if a player has been cored twice, they are ineligible. So there are a couple players that fall into this category, but there are also a couple players that don't. This will enable Golden State to take a potentially highly coveted, unrestricted free agent and core designate them. So they will have to play on Golden State for 1 year at that max salary. Once again, if you're not familiar with the core designation or the general rules behind it, don't sweat it. We will denote every player we believe will be cored heading into the 2025 season and what that means. Without further ado, let's break down all 12 teams' protected players, starting with the Atlanta Dream. I think the first 5 players the Atlanta Dream choose to protect are pretty cut and dry. Obviously, you're going to protect your franchise player, Ryan Howard. You're going to protect Alicia Gray, Jordan Canada, Naz Hillman. You're going to protect the Australian first-round draft pick from last year, Nadia Potch. And then the 6th player you protect. Now, for some, the school of thought is Cheyenne Parker-Tyus. Give her the franchise tag. Hopefully, with a new regime, a new coach, a new scheme, this could lead to a much improved Atlanta Dream. I don't think that's the case. I think the writing's been on the wall for Parker-Tyus and the franchise for a while. I think you let her go, say goodbye. First of all, I don't think you want to pay her $230 for a year and then have to renegotiate next year anyway. I think the 6th player, the Atlanta Dream, choose to protect the South Carolina Gamecock, Letitia Mehier. Atlanta was interesting because I think they have a couple of players that most people doing a mock expansion draft will take over a Mehier. One in Nia Coffey, which I think will be the number 1 player that people choose to protect, and then potentially even Haley Jones. For me, I'm taking a Mehier. She's the prototypical athletic body. You didn't get to see any kind of development under Tanisha Wright. 6'4", crazy athleticism, crazy high motor. I just think there's far more upside with a player like that. And you're still not completely done building your team, whereas Nia Coffey might be a nice complementary piece off of the bench, but she's going to be far more suited for a team that's really ready-made and not still developing. So at the end of the day, I win a me here. I'll be interested to see what they do. I'm pretty positive those first five will absolutely be on the list. Next up, we have the Chicago Sky. Very interesting team here. I think this one is probably one of the more cut and dry 6 on the list. But I want to note a couple players, and I want to note why you wouldn't want to protect them. So here's the list. First and foremost, we got Kennedy Carter, we got Cardoso and Reese, we got Onyewenye, we have Lindsay Allen, and we have Elizabeth Williams as the 6 protected. Notably not on this list, the 2 players they traded for in the Marina Mabrey deal, Mariah Jefferson, Rachel Banham. Now, why I don't protect either of these players is because A, they're not really in the long-term future plans. They're both very nice bench role players, but they're also eating up over $100K a piece. This is a great example of a team that can put 2 players out with existing contracts that might get taken by Golden State that ends up actually making your team better because now you have a little bit more cash in the free agent market. Now, I don't know what that free agent market is going to look like for Chicago. Whatever you think about Teaspoon, whatever you think about the new GM, I just think players and coaches and media and fans look at that franchise and are just scratching our heads collectively because it doesn't seem like they really have all their ducks in a row. That's neither here nor there, but I will be interested to see. Either way, it's likely that Golden State, with the opportunity, will take either Mo Jefferson or Rachel Banham. You'll get one of the 2 back on the team next year. So you're basically keeping those top 7 players. So that's where I see Chicago. The Connecticut Sun are next on the list. And like many teams, there's a lot of interesting pieces and dynamics going on in Connecticut. First of all, Alyssa Thomas, DeWanna Bonner, Brianna Jones, all unrestricted free agents. Okay. You got a coach. We don't know if she wants to be there. She's got one year left on this deal. Is she ready to bounce? They got new expansion teams beyond Golden State coming in 2026 in Toronto and Portland. Very highly coveted. I'm not sure this Connecticut team is very combustible. That's all I'll say. Darius Taylor, the general manager, did a great job going all in, did the best he could as far as bringing Mabrey into the fold. It almost paid off, not quite. As for the protected list, let's throw it up. Here's what I see. Alyssa Thomas, Marina Mabrey, Dejanay Carrington, Ty Harris, Olivia Nelson-Ododo, and Layla Lacan. And for those of you who don't remember, Layla Lacan is the French guard, young, unbelievably high-ceiling French guard. They drafted in the first round of last year. Some people would think to opt, hey, we just saw Veronica Burton. She played absolutely unbelievable. That is absolutely true. I think Lacan's upside, if she plays, obviously that's a huge caveat, is far greater. And I love Veronica Burton, and you're basically giving Veronica Burton to Golden State, but I think you have to. Now, along with this protected list of players, you notice the core designation next to Alyssa Thomas's name. Now, I think they core her for several reasons. Reason number 1, they need their best player back, okay? If they want to be competitive, if they want to try to build on the success that this core had, you need that player back. Number 2, let's say she doesn't want to play with you anymore. Let's say her and DeWanna Bonner want to ride off into the sunset out west. Let's say Phoenix, let's say Golden State, perhaps. Well, now you hold a lot of leverage in any potential trade. It's basically giving your franchise a chance to make some return on that Alyssa Thomas piece. Okay, so maybe you can exchange this for a very high draft pick in the 25 draft. Maybe you try to extort another team for a pick maybe in 2027, the Juju Watkins draft, which will be undisputed the most loaded draft the WNBA has ever seen. So I think for those reasons, you gotta core Alyssa Thomas. If Alyssa Thomas is happy to play in Connecticut, what does that probably mean? DeWanna Bonner will come back for another year. Now, Bree Jones is not on this list. Number one, because she's an unrestricted free agent that's already been cored twice. So she can't be cored, so there's no reason to protect her. She can go wherever she wants to go. I have to say, though, I question the market for Bree Jones. I love Bree Jones. I think from a conventional one-way offensive big kind of old school half-court offense, she's amazing. You can't go one-on-one. She's going to cook you up. But the way the WNBA is trending with really versatile, high motor, high pace bigs, I don't really know what she's going to fetch on the open market. Now, it's very possible that there are multiple suitors that really want that stable five in their rotation. I'm not questioning whether or not she's going to get picked up. She's obviously going to get picked up. I just don't know if that's the direction that teams' offenses will be headed in the next 3 to 5 years. Definitely not going to be in the next 10 years. But she's a great example of Connecticut not protecting Veronica Burton, Golden State grabbing her, and then potentially pairing her up with Bree Jones in the middle. So that's something to watch out for, but that's where I see Connecticut. Next up, the upstart Indiana Fever. I'm sure a lot of new WNBA fans can't wait to see what Indiana does, but frankly, I think this is pretty easy here. Let's throw up the list. Clark, Boston. We do see Kelsey Mitchell being that core designation. Temi Fagbenle, Lexi Hall, and at the end of the day, I am protecting Nalissa Smith. There is a school of thought. Let's just let her go her separate ways. It's not working for whatever reason. I don't know if it's coach. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's culture. Whatever it is, it's not working. But at the end of the day, she's just too valuable. She's a second overall pick from only a couple years ago. She's a fantastic player. It should be able to work, but if it can't, just too rich of a trade asset, whether that's before the season, which would be preferable, or it's a trade deadline deal, as we just saw with Connecticut and Mabry. But at the end of the day, I think Smith is too valuable. You gotta protect her. A notable name not on this list is, of course, Katie Lou Samuelson. Now, I didn't like the deal when they made it 2 years, 300 guaranteed. I still don't like it. Okay, this is a great example, in my opinion, no shade, of what would be addition by subtraction. You dangle that carrot out, you hope Golden State thinks, hey, here's a known commodity, let's put her on our squad, see what she can do. That would get you off this $150K. That would give you more shopping money. You got a couple players that I like. You got maybe an Isabel Harrison would fit pretty nicely. You got a Walker Kimbrough that would fit very nicely. This would free up some cap space and some cash to go out shopping for some new groceries. So we're going to wait. I'm not going to spoil it now. We'll see if I have the Valkyries selecting Samuelson. Moving right along to the New York Liberty. The Liberty, pretty cut and dry, really straightforward, embarrassment of riches. These 6 will be protected. We got Stewie, Jonquel, Sabrina, Lainey Hamilton, Phoebish, Sabali, Kayla Thornton. Welcome to the Golden State Valkyries. I think that's almost a no-doubter that will be the Golden State pick. You get a nice veteran who can play a lot of minutes, can coach up some youngsters if they have them. I think that's just an absolute no-brainer. Last team in the East, the Washington Mystics. Now, before I reveal my 6 protected, just know that this will be the only list that you see without a very specific name. Let's go ahead and throw up the list. We got Atkins, Sykes, Kira, Edwards, Jade Melbourne, and Emily Angsler, noticeably missing one big mama Steph Dolson. Let me explain. If I'm the Mystics, I am not protecting Steph Dolson for a bunch of reasons, okay? Number one, Steph Dolson is not going to be the difference for you taking the next step forward. She has 1 year, $170,000 on the books right now, okay? You have Shatori Walker-Kimbrough that's up for free agency. In my opinion, she's far more valuable for what your future looks like, okay? You have 2 first-round draft picks, so that means let's count those 2 in there. That's 2 22-year-olds. You have Angsler, you have Melbourne, you have Edwards, you have Austin. You're going to have possibly Sika Kone as well, re-up, sign her again. You're going to have 7 players that are 24 years and younger, okay? I love Steph. She is a nice rotational piece, but she is not in your future, okay? If Golden State wants to add some veteran leadership for $170K, I'm totally fine with that. And if they don't, and they want to take like a Kone, okay, great. Steph, welcome on back. That's totally fine. So that's where I'm at as far as Washington is concerned. I know a lot of people will say you're crazy. You got to keep Steph Dolson. Her 3-point percentage was unbelievable. For me, where I see this Mystics team headed, I'm trying to unload that salary. I'm trying to just load up with these young players. And last point I'll make on it, as far as a trade asset, no team in the WNBA is one Steph Dolson away from a title, okay? You're never going to be able to trade that contract, certainly on a 1-year rental, 100% not going to do it on a half-year rental at like a trade deadline. So as far as it being a movable asset, it's just kind of dead money. So that's where I'm at with Washington. I'd be very interested to hear what y'all think. So let me know in the comments. But that's where we're at. All done with the East. First team in the West, the Dallas Wings. The Wings are very interesting. They're going to have a very interesting offseason. Let's go ahead and throw up the list. We have Satu being the protected and then cord player. Obviously, Arike. We have Tierra McCowan, Maddie, JC Sheldon. And the 6th protected player, I went with Carla Late. She was the 9th overall selection in the most recent draft. Another really, really high upside French guard. These are the 6 that I think they're going to protect, which means Golden State has a lot of options from this Dallas lineup. They can take Kalani Brown. They can take Stephanie Suarez, who was the 4th pick just recently. They could take Awak Kawir, who was the 2nd pick in the 2021 draft. They have Lou Lopez Seneschal. They have a lot of high draft picks that they could take a flyer on, put on this team, fresh start, see what happens. So I'm very curious to see who Golden State takes from this Dallas Wings roster. Another note, Natasha Howard pretty much said, see you later, Dallas. She, of course, is also an unrestricted free agent, as is Satu Sabali, but she knows, as everyone does, they're going to protect and core Sabali, which means she's got her run to go wherever she pleases, and basically said, Adios. And for the Dallas fans, the reason I kept Tierra McCowan on the squad is I think the Dallas management's going to run this crew back one more time. Obviously, 2024 was a dumpster fire of a season. Sabally was out pretty much the entire first half. She was out the entire first half. You didn't really get to build on the momentum from 2023. I think Trammell's got one more season. If it doesn't work, I think it's blow up time. But you also have to keep in mind, Dallas has a 44-ish% chance of landing either Paige Beckers, and if not her, Kiki Ariafen. So they're going to get an immediate impact player to add to this lineup next season. So while this season was really bad, a fully healthy roster, let's say with a Paige Beckers, is going to look pretty darn different and pretty darn good. So that's where we're at with Dallas. Let me know what you think about these 6. The Las Vegas Aces are next up. The 2-time champs will definitely be looking to retool this offseason. They definitely need some front court help. Let's go ahead and throw up the list. Of course, they're going to keep those core 4, Asia, Jackie, Chelsea, Kelsey Plum. I have the core designation. We'll talk about that in a moment. I have them keeping Meg Gustafson because I think they can use her as far as that front court offense is concerned. Didn't have a great season, had flashes. I think with other pieces that will be complementary rotational pieces, I think she gets one more shot. And then Kate Martin, the rookie, is that last protected pick. As far as Tiffany Hayes goes, Tiffany Hayes is an unrestricted free agent. It's widely assumed that she wants to run it back in Vegas. She had a great season, 6th Woman of the Year. I don't worry about protecting her. I don't think she's going to go to Golden State. I think she's staying right where she was. Of course, that is a gamble, but that's what I'm doing. The reason I am going to core Kelsey Plum, I have no reason to think she wants to leave Vegas, okay? The problem is you can't afford her to have that feeling. You can't protect her and not core her and hope you work out that 1-year deal. Because what if she says, you know what? I'm ready for a fresh start. I want to head over to Golden State and be the face of that franchise. You literally cannot afford to do that. I'm giving her that 1-year max deal, cord. I have my core 4 locked up. At the end of the day, you need those 4 players if you're going to try to get back on that mountaintop. And then, re-sign Tiffany Hayes. That means you're leaving Kia Stokes out there to be taken. That's totally fine. I don't even know if Golden State will want her, but then it's retool time. So that's where I'm at with Las Vegas. Let me know what you think about that core designation for Kelsey Plum. The Los Angeles Sparks are next. The upstart Sparks, 2 to 3 years. This team's going to be absolute must-watch TV. Rakia Jackson, Cameron Brink, Ray Burrell, De'Erica Hamby, Azurá Stevens. And my last protected pick is going to be Steph Talbot. Now, I know a lot of people will be scratching their heads and saying, why wouldn't you protect Lexi Brown? She's got 2 more years, relatively cheap. So if they went that direction, I wouldn't be surprised. Frankly, with all of her health issues in the last 2 years, I don't think Golden State's going to take her. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they will bring her over, but she just hasn't been available. No fault of her own. I don't think they're going to take her. And I kind of want Steph Talbot, who's going to be that long, rangy wing that's really kind of hard to come by in this league. She's going to give you good minutes off the bench. And then, of course, we're going to add the number 1 or number 2 overall pick to this very, very young lineup. That's the way I see it. If Golden State wants to go ahead and take Brown, okay, that's great. We'll see. But this is the 6 that I'm going to protect. Add Paige Beckers, add Kiki, and I think you got a really, really nice 7-player rotation that could definitely make some noise. The Minnesota Lynx are up next, and I think this one is pretty cut and dry. I think there could be some disagreement with that 6th protected pick. But let's throw up the list. Obviously, the top 5, Collier, Williams, Carlton, Smith, McBride, those are all obvious. I opted to protect Dorka Juhas. I think if anything, this team is missing size on the interior. They don't really have a lot of height. I'm going to keep her. I think she's the most useful asset. Obviously, that means the number 2 overall pick from 2 seasons ago, Diamond Miller, she can be taken. That means the first round draft pick, Elisa Pili, can be taken. That's okay. Frankly, this is a championship squad, championship caliber squad. I really just don't see a place for Diamond Miller on this team. I don't know what didn't work. I don't know if her play style isn't to Reeves' liking. I know she can be a little out of control. This is a kind of older, more veteran team. I just don't see her getting a lot of run next year, even if she comes back. I see her as kind of that 9th, 10th player off the bench. Maybe it's just time for a fresh start. See if Golden State wants to take a flyer on her, give her the keys to the franchise. Alyssa Pili you're able to retain. You're able to potentially work out that 1-year deal with Hines Allen, maybe another contract with Xander Lassini. I'm sure, by the way, for Lynx fans, there'll be plenty of players checking out Minnesota. This is a great team to play for. It's a great system, especially with a new CBA on the horizon. You can come in here, you might be a relatively marginally known player, get in this really potent, fast-moving, really fluid offense, and be able to kind of up your stock for when this new CBA does hit. So that's where we're at with Minnesota. Next up, we got the Phoenix Mercury, who I think is very straightforward. Let's throw up the list. We got Copper, Cloud, Allen, Taylor, Cunningham, Natasha Mack, BG Kanapi Cord. She's already had that designation twice. I don't think they need to worry about her anyway. I think she's definitely coming back. It will be curious to see. Diana Taurasi has not announced her retirement just yet. I'm not going to be shocked if she wants one more season, but this is what I see from Phoenix. I don't really know where this team is going, to be completely honest, but will be interesting to see if, let's say, DeWanna Bonner wants to come back, if maybe they can work out a trade to get Alyssa Thomas into town, just throwing things out there. But this is the 6. I think they're pretty straightforward. Last team in the West, last team in the W. We have the Seattle Storm. Now, I think this one is pretty straightforward too, except for that last protection. Let's throw up the first 5. We got Jewel, Skylar, Ezzy, Jordan, Gabby Williams. Those are no-brainers. NECA can't be Cord. Fully anticipate her re-upping and getting back with Seattle. So you have those 6. Now, the last protection, I think a lot of people are going to say, you got to protect Nika Mule. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm sorry for all those Nika super fans. I love her. Some of the best fits in the league for sure. And also I want to say I hope she gets back from that injury ASAP. Obviously that was devastating to see. But no, let's throw up my 6th and final protection. Mackenzie Holmes, the 2nd round pick out of IU. We didn't see her play. I think she's got tremendous offensive game. I want to keep her. I want to see what I can get from her. I think she's a Naz Hillman plus type. I think her offensive game is really, really, really good. I think she's undersized, obviously. Not sure how she's going to work on the defensive end, but I want to see what I get from her. Those are going to be my 6 protections. Obviously, add NECA. Maybe try to do something in free agency. Get some more shooters. You need shooting on this team. But that's for another video altogether. But there you have it, folks. Those are the 12 teams and their 6 protected players. Let's go ahead and see what the Golden State Valkyries roster will look like. And there it is, folks. This is my 2025 Golden State Valkyries expansion draft roster. Now, something to keep in mind. Even though this is my expansion draft, this is who I project Golden State to have on December 6th, this is not going to be the opening day roster, okay? The reason being, number one, they got the WNBA draft 5th pick, okay? That player is certainly going to be on the roster. Not to mention any early second round picks they might have, okay? And then a bigger piece is free agency. I think that Golden State, if not this year, in very short order, will become a destination location. I think agents will be telling their players, hey, this is a franchise that's like Las Vegas, New York, Seattle, Phoenix. They're not going to spare any expense. They're going to treat their players right. They're going to have great facilities. You're going to want to play in Golden State. That's what I anticipate happening. So once again, just because they take 12 players, those 12 players are not all making the team, just to be clear. Now, I think there'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 players, and let's go ahead and throw those up. I think Diamond Miller makes the team. I think Kia Stokes tentatively makes the team. I think Natasha Howard's obviously going to be their core designated player. Steph Dolson, Kayla Thornton, Veronica Burton, Mo Jeff, and Nia Coffey all make the team. Obviously, once again, you have that 5th overall selection, whoever that is, they're on the team. And then you have free agents. I mentioned Parker Tyus in Atlanta. I think her time is done. Maybe she looks at Golden State as a very viable place to land. She's immediately on the team. I've talked about her a lot here. You got Walker Kimbrough. She can find a home on the team. You know, Indiana, I said they're going to take Grace Berger. If they go Katie Lou Samuelson, she'll be on that opening day roster. So a lot of things can happen, but just remember on December 6th, the players they take are not automatically on that roster. But this is who I anticipate they have. Obviously, once again, they have a draft, they have free agency. But this will be the core to the new Golden State Valkyries, and it is absolutely the best time to get involved with the WNBA. Next year, we're adding Portland, Toronto, an even wilder expansion draft. In 2 to 3 years, folks, this league is going to look totally different, and I am here for it. Go ahead, drop a comment. Let me know what your Golden State expansion draft looks like. As always, like, share, and hey, hit that subscribe button. It's free.